In this episode of Film Stock Reviews, I'm reviewing episode 5 of Tokyo Vice titled Everybody Pays. Now, this episode is really different because we start off with a backstory to Samantha. Of course, we found out that she ran away for some reason and someone wants to find her and everything. So this episode starts off with her story and her history. We find out that she came to Japan as a so-called Mormon who is, preaching that kind of good Lord stuff for the Book of Mormon and everything. So she's giving out free English classes and lessons. She came with someone, a friend, or maybe a sister, which is not really explained about who this other person is that she came with. And then all of a sudden, she, in order to survive, she starts making money, and of course she starts working at this club. And she tells everything to Paulina, and Paulina is one of her best friends in Tokyo right now. Her story is really interesting. It's very different. I feel like episode 5 is more so a story about her in a way, because she has to do certain things and try to make things right in her own way. Of course, she did come to Utah. It's explained simply in the first 15 to maybe 25 minutes of this episode who she is, why she's there, and what she's doing now in order to fulfill her career. Now, Jake meets with Detective Katagiri, and Detective Katagiri gives Jake the information about who the mole is in Yoshida's Yakuza clan. So Jake, with this information now, goes to Yoshida, and Yoshida finds out who the mole is in his Yakuza clan. And with that, Yoshida asks Jake, what do you want now? Let me pay my respect and what do you need, And Detective Katagiri kind of told Jake to not accept anything because once that door's open, it's always open. It doesn't close. But Jake, being Jake and being a journalist and being so naive, he asks Yoshida, what's going on? What is this symbol? And do you know about it? What's happening? And, Yoshida tells everything to Jake, which was kind of off the record in a way. And Yoshida just, like I said, spills everything to Jake. And Jake really has now information about what's going on, which is really interesting. Like I said, in episode 4 of my review of Tokyo Vice, Yoshida's coming to his own. We see more of this character, and in episode 5, he's really, really prominent. So basically, Jake meets with the kind of financial advisor to Tazawa in a way, and this guy spills everything to Jake and tells him the corporation that is doing this and how the loan sharking thing works. Jake thinks he has a lead. Come to find out that, Jake, this financial advisor in a way tells Jake to meet him at his house at this certain time. Now, before them, he goes to Tazawa, this financial advisor, and he tells Tazawa what happened. And Tazawa tells him, I can't help you. There is no we. You have to do what's right. So Jake, going to this financial advisor's house, or the banker in a way, so to speak, basically he goes into his house and we find out that he committed suicide in a way, so to speak. And Jake is just feeling guilty about it all. They had a lead, and it just faltered away because Jake is being a journalist, and you could see the craziness and sadness in his eyes. So in the big scene that stands out in this 5th episode of Tokyo Vice, Yoshida confronts the mole in his organization. It's really interesting about who this mole is, and it's really surprising in a way. And this mole basically says that he is the mole because Tazawa has this idea of moving on and being in the future while Yoshida is still stuck in the past and everything. So he tells Sato to kill this mole. Sato is really being hesitant because he's never killed anyone before. So this mole does something and it just changes the way of how everything else is going to go on in this story. Sato sees everything happen in front of him, and Yoshida tells him, you're either part of this Yakuza clan or you're not. Make your choice. The choice is yours in a way. Really interesting how this whole scene played out. It was probably the most well-written scene and the most acted scene in this series now so far, which is really, really good, because you can see that Yoshida's organization is falling in a way within, and it was just that this one mole started this whole thing, And it's like, who can you trust, who you can't trust, which is the question that needs to be answered in this show. So after what Sato went through, after what Jake went through, they both meet at the bar. Jake wants to talk to Samantha. Samantha orders a bottle for the table, and then Jake loses it because, someone else is requesting Samantha. So, that goes on, and then she leaves and goes to the back. Sato pulls her, and they start kissing, and they start making out. So Sato and Samantha do hook up in a very long scene, which is interesting. Not only that, Jake goes out with Paulina just to talk about the night, and Paulina's like, I'm not going to hook up with you, but you're cute. So after all this happens, you find that Sato goes back to Yoshida's place, and Yoshida's place is overrun by Tozawa men trying to assassinate Yoshida. And Sato must do all he can to protect Yoshida. And it's just an all-out fight and no war, and probably the best action scene so far in this series. And it's only going to get better from here. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about episode 5 of Tokyo Vice, Everybody Pays. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What's going to happen with Yoshida? Do you think his own Yakuza organization is falling from within after he found out who the mole was? Do you think Tozawa now has the upper hand on Yoshida because of the assassination attempt? Is Sato now going to become that man that he wants to become and not be that, shy, timid, I can't kill anybody? What's going to happen to Samantha? And what's going to happen with Jake? A lot of questions need to be answered, and there's only 3 episodes left. It's going to absolutely get crazy. So let me know in the comment section below about the questions I just asked, and I'll see you guys in the next review video. And be sure you tune in next week for my episode 6 and 7 review of Tokyo Vice.